We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Thursday, September 19th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and this is News Generation. Today we're joined by Cheska Deinhoff.
Happy Thursday, everyone!
Happy Thursday! And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you back. Now, both here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. Now, like always, we're going to start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online. We begin with entertainment news. The Korean movie I, the Executioner, starring Hwang Jung-min and Jung Hae-in, has sold over 4 million tickets as of Wednesday, just 5 days after its premiere last Friday. The film is a sequel to the 2015 hit Veteran and has hit the 4 million ticket milestone 3 days faster than that movie. Industry insiders predict that at this pace, I, the Executioner could surpass 10 million ticket sales, just like its predecessor. Switching gears, new data reveals that more young adults in Korea are part of the so-called kangaroo tribe, adults who remain heavily reliant on their parents and continue living at home. According to a survey last year of 196 people aged 25 to 39 years old, some 68% of those living with their parents said they have no plans to move out until marriage. The top reason cited was simply not feeling the need to live alone, followed by the comfort of living with parents, high housing costs, and burdensome living expenses. In tech news, Instagram has rolled out a new teen account feature to ensure safer app use for teenagers, automatically applying protections for users under 18. These accounts, which are private by default, will restrict who can contact teens and limit the content they're exposed to. For users under 16, parental permission is required to change any of the preset safety settings. This move addresses major parental concerns such as who their children are interacting with online and the type of content they encounter. Additional features include limiting messages to only people teens follow, restricting sensitive content, and ensuring that teens can only be tagged or mentioned by people they follow. Instagram will also notify users to leave the app after 60 minutes of use and offer a sleep mode that mutes notifications between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So here in the studio, I want to ask our panelists, what do you think about these protections? Do you believe this will help safeguard young users from harmful content and prevent them from being too hooked to the app?
Yeah, obviously, I think this is a great idea as a father of a daughter who one day will eventually go on social media, and it's something that we worry about, or I worry about personally, because I know the dangers that can come with social media being on it for so long. But there needs to be some more regulations and rules. I think online bullying is still something that is happening through social media, and I think that needs to be really regulated because, especially with things like Instagram, people are very impressionable, especially at the age of teenagers' age. They want to look like a certain way, and if they don't, they feel very bad about themselves. And obviously, we've seen the most recent scandal with the online deepfake situation. We also want to keep our teenagers away from that. So not just social media, but we want to see more rules just for teenagers online in general.
Right, definitely. There's more need for these protection measures because there have been so many problems related to minors using social media. For example, deepfake pornography. And I think we talked about how those images on social media of like very skinny celebrities, they kind of pressure young users to kind of look that way, leading to very extreme dieting habits, right?
Absolutely. It affects their both physical and mental health in so many ways. And I too agree with Walter, and I know this might sound a little dramatic, but I do hope there comes a time where we actually set age restriction for social media use as well. And I honestly don't see any benefit for social media for teenagers when they are extremely impressionable, because this is the place where all the information is everywhere and anywhere. It's completely unfiltered, right? And although I may be being conservative, I think there's a reason we live in a time when you have age restrictions and guidance for driving, drinking, smoking, or adult contents, right? And I think social media is exactly the same in that we really need proper guidance, because once you are in there, it's a world where anything or everything is possible.
Right.
And to be able to kind of exercise that kind of literacy when it comes to media, I think is quite essential.
Definitely. Now, meanwhile, Instagram has already started enrolling new teen users into teen accounts as of Wednesday, with plans to transition existing teen users in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia within the next 60 days, and in other regions, such as here in Korea, starting in January. And that was our news feed for this Thursday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day by taking a look at the screen. We've discussed on NewsGen several times how more young people are becoming hesitant to get married and start a family. But that doesn't mean they are not interested in dating.
In fact, they are exploring a wider range of options than ever before. One of the most popular ways to meet new people these days is through dating apps. Why is that?
Right, so as our viewers may know, we're back after a long Chuseok, the Korean Thanksgiving holiday. And here in Korea, there is actually a list of things that single people like me dread to hear from their relatives when their families gather together on Chuseok. And one of those questions is, are you seeing someone or when are you planning to get married? So I heard this from my family members this year as well. So I want to ask our panelists, although you're married, Walter,
Yes.
have you heard similar stuff from your relatives in the past?
Well, luckily for me, in the past, before I got married, my parents were pretty easygoing about the whole thing. And to be honest with you, I got married quite early, more, I guess earlier than my parents expected.
Oh.
So it was more of a surprise to them. But
Why are
now-
you getting married?
Yeah, like, why? Who's
you
marrying you? Are you sure that person wants to marry you?
Have you checked with her? She wants to get married.
So, well, I thought I was, lucky enough to get married, but if they ask me now if I'm seeing someone, maybe that's also a bad thing. Maybe if they're
Yeah, you're
asking-
in big trouble.
I'm in big trouble. So the next question, obviously, after marriage is when are you going to have children?
Right.
Now I've got that covered. I don't have to worry about that. They usually ask, when's your next baby going to be? But we've been pretty adamant that, only one baby for us. Luckily for me, when I go to the in-laws' house, the only question I get asked is, do you have enough food on your plate?
Oh, you only get the best question.
I only get the best questions, yes. So I've done all the, all the checks boxes, yes.
So Walter is in the safe zone.
He's in the super safe zone.
Right,
Yes.
super safe zone. What about you, Cheska?
I'm not in the safe zone, unfortunately. But fortunately, my parents or my grandparents aren't one of those that ask a lot of these questions. Are very respectful when it comes to my private life, thank God. But my dad, very rarely, once in a while, would kind of slip in comments like, I hope you meet a nice man. Or like, personality is the most important thing. And I'll just be like, yeah, I really like that tone. Can I have some more? Like, I'm very good at switching conversations and shutting them down if they try to pressure me a little bit, because I think I live in that kind of generation where my personal choices are really important. Yeah, so I try to make that separate from my family.
Well, I think you're in the semi-safe zone.
Semi-safe zone, yes.
I think I'm the only person who's not in the safe zone now, but hope things get better. Now, all these questions, they focus on whether young people are meeting dating people, but the reality is it's becoming really harder to meet new people these days because especially for those who are busy with work, you go to your office and you come back, you go to your office and come back, and the weekend you have to sleep.
You do anyway. for some
Is this a
reason.
personal testimonial?
It is actually. Now, in the past, many people in Korea relied on blind dates to meet someone new, but now more people are actually turning to technology, especially dating apps, right, Walter?
Yeah, that's correct. So, like in Western countries like the United States, Australia, in Europe, it's long been common to meet someone or even, marry someone through these dating apps. I mean, they've been around for, a couple of years now, almost I would say as soon as like applications were made. So, however, in Asian countries, this has traditionally been more of a conservative view of the app. So, we're a little bit of a stigma, if I must say. But recently, dating apps have become a little bit more popular. I've seen a lot more ads of all these different dating apps in Korea at the moment. The ratio of women seems to be increasing because usually dating apps were mainly dominated by the male gender. But it seems that women these days are now also taking to these apps and wanting to find a true love.
Right. So this is indeed an interesting and noticeable change. And Cheska, I want to ask you, as Walter mentioned, we're seeing more women users on these dating services, dating apps. So could you give us more relevant data or stats on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So before coming on this episode, I actually asked a couple of my girlfriends to actually get a real testimonial. So I was also intrigued how the figures and the ratio was. So let's take a look at the screen to find out. So when they asked questions about the ratio of new registers between female and male, it was about the same, which I was actually quite surprised. Of course, there's a little bit more on the male side from 3 to 2. However, it's almost about half and half. And if we take a look at the next figure, when actually asked both male and female about how positive they were about having a serious relationship or meeting through the app, if you see the figure, more than half of the people, 65% of people actually said they are very positive about meeting through the app. So this was actually something quite surprising.
Right, that is indeed, because in the past, if someone heard that you were meeting someone through a dating app here in Korea, they will like ask, is that reliable?
Yeah.
Are you meeting a reliable
Are you really
person?
looking for a serious relationship, right? Which is why I was
Exactly.
quite surprised about the second question, the second survey as well. People are actually very positive about serious relationship through the app. Yeah.
Right, and this I think leads to our next question. Walter, why do you think our generation is becoming more open to using these dating apps?
Well, I think that it's just perfect for the MZ generation who are prioritize, efficiency and value for time spent. Now, typically the process of signing up for a dating app is just kind of like what you'd sign up for any other app. You just need your name, your gender, your date, height, body type, religion, and obviously in Korea, MBTI is a very, very big thing. Whether you smoke, whether you drink, all those little bits of information that will chop out all the people that you don't want to date.
Right.
So based on this information, the app recommends, personal preferences, personal people that you might enjoy being with. So I think it really does cut down the old school way of like trying to figure out all the questions when you first go on that sogeting or blind date. I think time really has a lot to do with it as well. As you mentioned, we in Korea don't have a lot of time. We just go to work, come back, and if you're using sleep basically the rest of the night, can't be bothered, going out and having fun.
I'm sorry.
Even though that you're young and you're a very, very single, lovely lady, you just decide to sleep. But yes, it makes it convenient for most of us to go out and meet somebody that we like without the hassle of going to a party or going to a bar, etc.
Right, I think definitely more of the younger generation believe that using dating apps is like a very efficient way to meet the person that suits you best.
Yeah.
What could be some other reasons, Cheska?
So I actually did ask my female friends in their 20s and 30s and have gotten some great responses. Not to put you on the spot, Eugene, but nowadays a lot of Korean women do not have the emotional luxury or the physical capacity to make extra time.
I agree.
Or the energy to seek someone out to date. I mean, after work, you're exhausted. And you have to get back to work.
I need to go to bed.
Exactly. You have to save up that precious energy, right? It is also really hard to branch out from your social circle, as Seoul is relatively a small city. So your network kind of forms within your workplace,
Right.
or maybe your school that you went to. Therefore, through the apps, they're able to filter through people more efficiently, whether it be hobbies, preferences, or sometimes even appearances. And also nowadays, some of the apps make sure they really screen and filter the people to make sure that they're serious through a lot of verifications and questions. So my friends said actually just by looking through the questions they answered, you can actually get past the awkward ice-breaking stage because you got the answers when you look through the dating apps.
Right, so you can save time and energy. I think this is why the younger generation believes.
Exactly. And just to add on to it, because of our dating generation, I think some people have a trouble starting a conversation. And I think that's what dating app eliminates.
You can start your conversation via online messaging, right?
Exactly. And all the questions are already there. So instead of you having to think about what should I ask the person, how should I address myself, I think the dating app sort of eliminates the awkwardness or the inability of our generation to actually have a normal conversation.
I see. Now, I want to ask our panelists, what are your thoughts on this trend? Have you used it before, or do you plan to use it?
So in the past, when I was single, yes, I did try it, but I really didn't enjoy it. So I went on 3, I guess what you call them, blind dates through the app, and all 3 were
trials.
Trials, and all 3 were very terrible, to be honest with you. Just a quick overview. The first one dumped, as soon as we met, she dumped all her family problems on me. The second one said she was a vegetarian, but we were at a chicken shop where we were eating chicken. I was like, I don't think you're a vegetarian if you're eating chicken.
Wow, that's
And so I didn't really trust her in that way. And the third one, I was I wouldn't say a victim, but I was catfished, where she looked very different from her photo. And the very first question she asked me was, do I look like my photo? And then I had to be like, yeah, you look exactly like your photo, because I'm not a mean person, but I didn't enjoy the experience.
Okay, so you didn't enjoy the experience. Walter didn't enjoy the experience. What about you, Jessica?
He's not a very good advertisement for the dating.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I actually brought a variety of testimonials from my girlfriends. So there's one couple that actually got married through the dating apps. And there's also one friend who hasn't had many successes with serious relationships, but she is actually having fun. But one thing that I've consistently noticed through my girlfriends is that over the years, there are definitely more females who are having longer lasting or healthier sort of relationship through the dating app.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because the dating app itself is changing or maybe the mindset of people approaching is changing, but there is definitely a more upside of people who are meeting through the dating
Than the
app.
past, right?
Than the past, absolutely. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not designed at all for dating apps. So I already know myself, know thyself, right? So I already know myself, so I haven't tried. But fun fact though, I actually used a Bumble, which is one of the dating app that has a friend and a business network option. So I actually made a lot of friends.
Oh, so you can indeed expand your social circle. through
Yes,
these
that was
services.
actually the best part of, for me at least as well, yeah.
Right. So today we're talking about this trend where more young people in Korea are using dating apps than the past. Now, to find out what's it like in other parts of the world, we also asked our viewers their opinions on meeting new people through dating apps, and here's what 3 of them said. If we look at the comments, Tira Spell 4740 says, I met my current partner on a dating app back in January. I'm all for dating apps. Giselle 624 says, I met my husband through an app. My 2 best friends also met their fiancés through an app. I'd say it can definitely work. Wesley Fortney says, I very seldom meet anyone in person based on matching. Dating is really still about meeting in person first and spending time with each other. Getting matched on an app is still a long way from having any chance to actually meet and date. So a lot of different opinions from our viewers. Now for more on this trend, we're going to invite a professor in sociology to our talks right after this break. Right, so today we're joined by Amanda Miller, professor and chair of the Department of Sociology at the University of Indianapolis. Welcome, Professor, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So our first question for you is, as we mentioned, the popularity of dating apps is growing worldwide. So what are the reasons and background behind this trend?
You know, there are a few reasons why we see this growth in dating apps. So first of all, population size absolutely has something to do with it. So millennials and Gen Z are 2 of the largest generations in the world. Millennials are in their late 20s to early 40s. Gen Z is starting to enter their mid to late 20s. And so we see more of these individuals who are coupling or perhaps recoupling and using these apps to do so. I think COVID also played a role, got us more used to online socialization in a way that perhaps we might not have thought of before. And the apps are just getting better and better at gamifying love. They are designed to keep us engaged. They're designed to keep us online for longer. I will say in the United States, we're actually seeing a little bit of a decline in the use of youth dating apps. Youth are still dating online, but just in a slightly different way. So rather than using a formalized app, they tend to be meeting friends of friends through social networking sites like Instagram. So just like in the past, your best friend may have introduced you to a neighbor, now they're introducing you to a friend of a friend, and just in a slightly different way.
As we discussed here earlier, there is an interesting trend, a noticeable increase in the number of women using the dating apps also. And as you saw in the stats, people are actually thinking about serious relationship when it comes to using the apps. Why do you think this is happening?
You know, it's very interesting. So young women in general are becoming more liberal. They're taking more control of their lives in the workplace. They're taking more control of their family lives. And this is just another way of taking control. This is an area of their life that they can control in a safe and efficient way through online dating. I will say women are more often looking for longer term relationships or friendships online. Men tend to be looking for more casual relationships. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but perhaps there's a way that we'll bridge that in the future. The final reason is really that there have been structural changes in how some of these dating apps work. So, young women are very much a key demographic for online dating apps. Without them, there would be a very clear gender imbalance. So, a lot of apps have been trying to do things to make women feel more safe on their platforms. Things like additional screening, identity verification, or even content moderation.
Right.
And what potential downsides or concerns are associated with meeting people on these apps?
Well, of course, just like in meeting in person, there are some challenges. So men more often note that they feel insecure, not having messages returned from women online, while sometimes women really unfortunately have very negative experiences with threats of violence, for example. But another downside is that online dating can almost feel like an infinite series of choices. And in fact, a third of people who are online daters say there are almost too many people to choose from. So as we're swiping through the app, we see all of these partners, and we might pass up somebody who otherwise would be great for us, but doesn't quite meet our preferred height requirement, for example. So one suggestion that I have to get through some of this dating app fatigue is to, of course, meet online if you'd like, but as quickly as you can, get offline. Go for a walk together in the park. Go for coffee. Go to dinner. The person that you're meeting online may not be Mr. or Ms. Perfect, but if you have some good in-person interactions, you might find that they're just right for you.
Definitely very useful advice. All right, Professor Miller, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to ask my final question to our panelists, similar to what we asked to Professor Miller. What are some measures that can be taken to ensure the safety of dating app users?
Yeah, this is a really big question because as a woman myself, I think it can never hurt to be really extra cautious, especially in the current climate when there are so many things, unexpected things going on. So I think one advice is, as Professor said, try to meet offline, but in a very open space with a lot of people. Maybe do an activity together where you have a crowd of people around you. And also maybe take a friend with you like I did for my girlfriend, and just to say hi, like I'm watching you to see if you're not a serial killer or a psychopath. So that might be an advice, yeah.
Great. What about you, Walter?
Well, I guess it's obviously more dangerous for women than it is men. I mean, there are situations where men are also in trouble, but you know, as a victim of that catfishing scandal, not scandal, it wasn't a scandal, I'm not famous. But that situation, yeah, I think it's best to try and meet up, like Jessica said, in an open area. That'd be great. If you get any sort of just weird gut feeling about the person, I would bail straight away, to be honest with you. Just go with your gut. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they may look good on a little screen, but you know, your safety is what's more important.
You never know what's behind the...
Right.
Exactly.
So have fun, but always be careful and cautious. And that's all from us today, but Newsden will be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks today to Cheska Dainong.
Pleasure always mine, thank you.
Thank you, and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.